Hey there, Python crew, and welcome back for another episode of Code with Josh. For obvious reasons, that's me. I'm Josh. I break down all that complex tech jargon for you guys to learn faster. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about 9 errors in Python. Now wait, I know what you're thinking. Josh, I don't want to learn errors. Errors suck. Errors are terrible. Errors drive me nuts. Well, I'm here to tell you that errors are actually your best friend. And I'm going to show you how today you can use them to your advantage. How can we solve errors faster? More importantly, how can we read what they're really trying to tell us? Before I dive into today's episode, guys, you can get my handcrafted Python and Git starter pack absolutely free. And this is the same guide that I give to my students on their first day of class. It's going to help guide you through your Python journey, and it's going to be a quick reference guide that you can use at any point in your programming career. It's the first link in the description. Head on down there and get your copy of my handcrafted Python and Git starter pack. Guys, do me a favor, if you're here and you're ready to learn, click the like button for me. That really helps me as a small channel grow and reach more students around the world. And if you're ready to learn Python, smash that subscribe button. Alright, let me take you over now to the material that I've made. Now remember, we're only talking about the first nine Python errors. And I'm going to break them down for you guys in an easier light. Let's head over. Alright, here are the errors of Python, the 9 types we're talking about today. Now guys, I know you've had other errors. I want you guys to comment below and let me know what errors have you guys had along your Python journey. Let's kick things off with the first one, which is a syntax error. Now literally, a syntax error, how I like to think about it and tell my students, is a grammar or a punctuation mistake. Just like in English, we have grammar or punctuation errors. Maybe you forget a period, or you forget a comma or an apostrophe where we need one. This is the same thing for Python. Check your grammar. You need good grammar. That's a syntax error. Okay, the next type of error is an indentation. Now literally, indentation just means tab. So you've tabbed incorrectly. Either you forgot to tab or you tabbed too far. Always check the line. Is it where you want it to be? Now, our third one, we have a name error. A name error is when you try to use something that you didn't create. So if you try to use a variable that you haven't created, you're going to get a name error. It's like calling your buddy Tom. Hey Tom, but his name is really Chuck. What? Moving on, we have an attribute error. Now an attribute is when a type of data doesn't have that function. It doesn't have that attribute, right? So think of you trying to use a method that isn't a part of that data type. Like for example, isLower, right? That makes a string all lowercase. What if you use isLower on a number? What? No, you can't do that. That would result in an attribute error. Okay, 4 more. We have a value error, and this is when a function gets an incorrect value. A key error is when you try to get a non-existing key from a dictionary. There is no key of that value in your dictionary. It's a key error. Then we have our index error. Now, we get index errors a lot, okay? And you should know at this point, index is position of an element inside of an iterable. List, tuple, string, okay, iterable, right? So if we try to get an index that's outside, I'm going to get an index error. For example, I have a list of 3 people, right? Bob, Tom, Josh, okay? I try to get the 4th person in my list. I only have 3. Index error. And our last one that we're going to talk about is a FileNotFound error. As you start getting more advanced in Python, or maybe you're here, right? You're going to be working with other files, CSV files, text files, you name it, okay? You're going to get these all the time. It's okay. Remember, errors are our friends. A FileNotFound error is when we try to access a file that doesn't actually exist. Alright, with all of these errors, okay, remember there's more than this, 16, 17, 18, this is only 9 errors. You're not going to learn them all today, don't overwhelm yourself. I want you guys to pause the video, take a look at this, at what I've put together, okay, use it as a quick guide. Now that we know how to actually read these errors, it's going to be so much easier in our terminal to break it down, because that is a true advantage. That's a really good life skill, is being able to read your terminal to solve the error. Because if you can read the terminal, you can code just about anything. All right, now that we've saved all of our errors, I'm going to take you guys over into VS Code, and I'm going to give you guys error examples for each of these that we can work through together. At the end of this, I'm going to import one of our projects that we worked on together in one of the previous episodes, and we're going to go through that and debug that, solving the errors along the way. All right, over to VS Code. Hey guys, real quick, hit the like button, comment below, and let me know your thoughts on today's episode. All right, back to the video. All right, our first errors up here are going to be our syntax errors. Now remember that syntax errors are our punctuation. Now VS Code is really smart. Let me zoom in for a sec. You can actually see I have a parenthesis and it's telling me it's red. Okay, I'm still going to run the code. We are getting our first error. Now VS Code is really specific. Read your terminal. It's telling you the answer. Okay, most of your stuff is gibberish. You don't really care about this. I really want the last 3 lines. It's telling me the syntax error. So, okay, punctuation. It's even telling me that this parenthesis was never closed. It shows us where it's coming from and it points to this parenthesis. So I have to go up here and we have to close it. That's it. Okay, if you run your code, we see hello world. Okay, that's our first example. Let's look at the next one. All right, I have a function called greet taking an argument of 50. Can you find the errors? How many are there? I'm gonna run the code. Okay, we're going through these baby steps because there's more than one. So the first one, a syntax error, greet was never closed. Okay, so go close greet. Okay, run the code. Another syntax error, my punctuation. Oh, it's expected 2 dots at the end of our function. So, colon. Run the code. Another syntax error. It's showing you exactly where, right? As soon as you understand the error types and you see syntax, oh, okay, I forgot my punctuation, you know. Okay, there we've looked at syntax errors. Let's now head on over and we're gonna check out our next error type. Now you can see I'm using the greet function again, but this time I'm giving it a name and I'm gonna respond that name. So, hello Josh, how are you? And we're focusing here on indentation errors. What's an indentation? A tab, remember? So if we check our error, it says indentation error, it doesn't match the other levels. And it even shows us at the end. Now, with indentation errors, it's not always correct. If it says line 5, if you're confident it's not coming from line 5, you check before and you check after. It could be line 5 though. In our example here, yeah, it is. I'm gonna tab that in, right? That's a part of the function. Save my file, run the code. Now you can see, hello Josh, how are you? Okay, indentation is like a spacing issue, a tab issue. Great. Going on to our next one is our name errors. Now we can really focus on our name errors. So I have a function called getResponse. GetResponse is taking a number and multiplying it by 2 and then printing off that new number. Now if I run my code, what is a name error? Do you remember? Well, there we go. Name error. Name num is not defined. Defined means you didn't create this anywhere. So you either need to change it or you need to create it. Let's create it. So all we really have to do is I'm going to bring that down. And if we go really anywhere and I say num equals 10. Okay, now I have num. I created it somewhere. I can now use it and you can see my output of 20. That is how we can correct our name errors. Okay, so we've been working through a few now. All right, what's another error that we talked about today? What about a type error? Let's check that out. So our code here is going to result in a type error. Can you find the error and why it's going to do so? Well, I have a function, right? It's taking a number and just adding it together, printing off our result. I call my function, giving it my input, so ideally it should work. Let's run the code. Okay, enter a number. Let's say 25. Oh, okay, so remember most of this is gibberish. Okay, it's giving you a traceback. It's going through the process of where the error occurred. A type error. You can only add add a string to a string, not to a number. That's what this says, right? So input returns a string. And in our function right here, num is actually a string. That needs to be a number. So there's multiple ways to do this. Let's just come down here and say int. Let's convert that to an integer. I can't add a string to a number. That's like saying apple plus 10. What? What is that? I don't know. Okay, run the code. Enter your number again, 25, enter, boom, there you go, 30. Okay, remember, a type error is when you try to give a function a different type of data. Okay, it's the wrong type error, right? Moving on, the next error we're gonna work with here is an attribute error. So here I have a list of numbers, okay? And you can see that I'm taking my list and I'm appending 6, or I could add 6, and I just wanna print it off. Well, if we run our code, it actually says attribute error. List has no attribute, add, right? So you can think of a list as a class, right? Object-oriented programming. And every class has a bunch of methods which we can use. And with a list, right, we have many different methods. Okay, I have index, count, we even have append, remove, you name it. But add is not a part of a list. We use add with a set. Okay, so it tells us here list has no attribute, add, I can't use that. You just have to remove that. Remember to keep with those. Anytime you get an attribute error, you can read the Python documentation online because that's really specific. That has all the attributes of all of our classes and objects. And you can see there that I'm printing off a list 1 through 6 just like normal. Okay, now let me give you one more example for attribute error. Okay, so here's a class. Super basic, I know. Okay, and inside there we have our constructor with a single property. Okay, I create my object on the outside and I'm giving it the value of 10, right? So my object value, it's going to print 10, and then I'm going to take my object and I want to call the add value method because I want to add 5 to 10. Well, let's run the code, check it out. You can see that it printed off 10 because that's the value, but then it says attribute error. Your class doesn't have that attribute. Okay, so you need to make it or you need to remove it. For this sake, let's just make it real quick. Okay, so I could fix this really easily. I could go up here and we could just say add num. Okay, it's gonna take a num. Okay, and then inside here we want to return. What do I want to return? Well, I want to take the value originally, and then I would like to just add the number to my value. Now, don't forget your other parameter of self. Now outside here, I'm actually going to print this off because I'm now returning a number. Because we created that, you can now see 15 is working. We now have that attribute. We're almost done here. Let's take a look at a few more. So our value error. Do you guys remember? What's a value error? Right? It's when we give the wrong value to something. So what's going on in this function? Well, this function, it's trying to do something. It's trying to convert our value and then just print off our converted value. Okay? If we run the code, we're going to see that value error. That's fine. Here you go, error, invalid literal for int with base of 10, okay? Most of that doesn't mean much, but it's literally telling you invalid literal for your int function 20. I can't convert a string 20 to a number. That's like converting airplane to a number. How would I do that? You can't, okay? So all we really have to do here to fix this is change that to say 20. Right? That can be converted value to 20. Now our value error is taken care of. Up next we have our key error. I'm just going to keep our code right there, and you can see that I have a dictionary. Okay, I have 3 key value pairs, 1, 2, 3. Now imagine that I try to tap into and I get David from my dictionary. Well, this is exactly where a key error happens because that key isn't in the dictionary. You can see, there you go, key error David. It shows you exactly where it's from. So how could you resolve this? Well, you could create David, or you could just change it very simply, and we could tap in here and say Bob. I have Bob, run the code, I get 90. I have Bob, that's our value. That's phenomenal. All right, let's check out index errors. I have my function here, okay, and I have a list of fruits, apple, banana, cherry, and I would like to try to get a specific element from my list. So for example, if I say 1, 0, 1, fruit equals banana. That's what I'm trying to get here, okay? So let me call my function. Let's go back here. Let's put up our index again. And if I come down here and I say get element from list, let's say I want the third fruit. Run the code, cherry, wait, no, error. List index out of range. What? Cherry? 1, 2, 3. Apple, banana, cherry. Python starts on 0. No. So really, I need to drop that down to 2. Now you can see our selected fruit is a cherry. Amazing. Guys, we're in the last one, okay? As you start working with files, we're going to be looking at this, FileNotFound Error. Here you can see that I'm trying to open this text file, user-based text. I just want to read the content, right? Run your code. You can see my Explorer. I don't have any file, right? So I'm getting an error saying no such file exists, right? So that's a check for you. Now, if I want to work around this, I could just create a text file. Inside there, I can say, hello, is this working? Go back to your main file, run the code. Now you can see, hello, is this working? I resolved my error, okay? Guys, that was our 9 steps. Let me take you back real quick. These were the 9 errors that we talked about in today's episode. Save this picture. Use it to help you as I broke this down for you. I did tell you guys that we would go through one of our old projects. Let's do that now. So here you can see our Translator app. Do you guys remember when we put together this desktop app? If you don't, I'm going to link it somewhere here. Go check that video out so you can make your own Python Google Translator. So inside here, you can see that I've translated from English to Mongolian, okay? Now, I don't speak Mongolian, right? So I guess that's what it means. But what we're going to do is I'm going to break this and we're going to go fix it. Let me close it. Okay, and you can see that I have all my code here. Now, you can see some obvious problems in the beginning. Anytime I see a red line, I usually put our dots, our ticks, so I know there's an issue. Okay, I can check the rest of my code. No more, okay? But that doesn't mean there's not hidden errors within the program. Let's run through and put our practice to the test. Run the code. This is how I go through, just run, and fix each error. Okay, indentation error, line 2. Going up to line 2. Oh, I do have a little space there. Fix it. Okay, run the code. Okay, I have a different indentation error, and it tells me indented block after class, line 8. And it shows me my constructor method. Oh, look at that. That needs to be in our class, right? Our init, our constructor, is the first method in the class. Indentation is your tabbing errors. Okay, I'm going to clean my terminal, so just trash it, run it again. I have a new error. I have a syntax error. Unterminated string literal. I do know I have a syntax error. It shows me where and it shows me the arrow. So I'm going to go up here, using your Python knowledge, look at it. What looks off? Well, I have a string. I'm missing one of my quotes. So just drop that in. Okay, that's gone away. I'm going to run it. Another syntax error. Perhaps you forgot a comma. Look at VS Code being smart. Perhaps I forgot a comma. Where? Within here. So inside there, if you don't know what you're working with, use VS Code's advice, okay? I know that QFont takes multiple arguments, and if you look, there's 2 different types of data, so I know that's not right. We need our comma. Drop the comma, run the code. Indentation error, line 95. Go down here, line 95. Okay, I'm going to fix that. Run the code. No module named languages. Okay, so to get this to work, I didn't. Let me drop it in real quick. I'm going to create languages.py, enter that, save that. Let me drop in the code from the other file. Okay, so this is just the languages. If you missed the video, go check out the app video. Okay, trash that, run that. That's taken care of. That was an unintentional issue. Okay, name error self is not defined. So wait, okay. Line 118, let's go down. Line 118, self. Okay, well, you can see it is telling you a name error, okay, but that's not the actual error. The real error is an indentation error, right? Because self can't be alone. Just put it back inside where it belongs. Where is the parent? Ask yourself. Run the code, okay. type error. Okay, so just go through these. This is what I do every time. I just go through, I work through the errors. You now know the 9 most common errors that you're gonna have most of the time. Use it to work through here. Repeat error, Q label, keep fixing, object. Okay, there's no attribute named object. Okay, I'm gonna fix this too, add items. It's not one we can use without an iterable. Okay, QV box. Okay, attribute error again, line 41. Going down, add widget. No, add widget. All right, that's no attribute. Boom, there we go, okay? Now you can see that everything's put back together. This is our final application. I certainly hope that this video has helped you guys understand these errors and how we can break down and use errors to your advantage. That's right, errors are your best friend. And if you can read the terminal, you can solve just about anything in Python. So buckle down, spend some time. I promise this is going to help you out in the long run. Guys, you can get my Python guide that has some of this in there to help you. It's the first link in the description. Head on down there and get your free copy of my handcrafted Python guide. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, you like learning, okay, follow along. Really help me out because I'm trying to grow this year in 2024. Hit the like button and smash the subscribe button. Comment and let me know what error has driven you nuts over the years, because errors have driven me nuts too, okay? It's just what happens. Well, that's all for today's episode of Code with Josh, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next episode. Until then, I have something big planned for you guys coming real soon. Stay tuned. Have a great week. I'll see you guys in the next episode.